Welcome to Leading from the Heart, a specialty care series where we'll be spotlighting the people behind the care. My name is Matt Gray, and I'm president of our cardiac care service line, and I'll be sitting down with our associates from across the country to hear about their stories. Today I'm joined by Aaron Nichols, and Aaron has a very unique journey that led him to specialty care, so I'm really looking forward to it. Aaron, thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And first, congrats on the promotion recently to National Director of ECMO.
Thank you very much. I'm really excited to see what we can do with this.
Awesome. Would love to hear about what led you to specialty care.
What led me to specialty care was the opportunity to expand my ECMO journey. I started out at the University of Florida, and I'd spent all my time there where I thought that I knew what ECMO was. I thought that was all encompassing of what ECMO was. And then I saw this position open in Houston, Texas, where I'm originally from Texas, and I thought, why not stretch my legs and see what else is out there? And I had no idea, but just taking that leap into joining specialty care has given me the opportunity to see that what I knew of ECMO, what I thought I knew of ECMO, was so little in regards to what the world has for ECMO, and it couldn't have been a better choice.
Awesome. So you started out in respiratory therapy, correct?
I did. Started out many other places, but in the medical space, I started out as a respiratory therapist, particularly on pediatrics. And in my first day in the ICU, one of my patients was a very small, about 2-kilo baby that was on ECMO. I'd never seen this little cyborg of a human. I got this machine pumping the blood in and out, and I got this little baby, and it's alive, doing all this, and the combination of mechanical and biological mixed together was just mind-blowing. And I was like, I got to do this. I got to know what this is. And I've been enamored and involved with ECMO ever since.
Yeah, that's incredible. So before you discovered this passion that led you into the medical field, tell us a little bit about that unique experience prior to getting into the medical field.
Sure. I started out, joined the Army. That was just shortly after 9/11. I got deployed overseas to Iraq and Afghanistan and spent some time in combat zones. Came back and went into law enforcement, what I thought would be a natural transition coming into the civilian world, and got an opportunity to continue serving in some sort of capacity for others and taking care of others. And then met my wife, who was a nurse at the University of Florida, and going up and seeing her while she was on shift gave me an opportunity to see something different. And I jokingly say that, and it's true, there was these two guys that I always saw on the hospital floor. They were in scrubs. They were never doing anything. And I asked my wife, I was like, who are those guys? And she said, well, those are respiratory therapists. I was like, how can I get that job? Now, it's tongue-in-cheek. They are super busy, and as a respiratory therapist, we were very busy. But I had no idea a respiratory therapist existed. I didn't know what the job was. I didn't know what it entailed or anything. But that opportunity of exposure gave me the chance to come in and do this, which has brought me here.
Got it. No, thanks. So respiratory therapy, ECMO specialist, very demanding fields. So did the military and your experience in law enforcement give you an edge?
I think it provided me a big edge in some aspects. The demands of shift work for the hospital system and for ECMO, typically nights or days, but I worked nights. I spent most of my time working in the military on night shift of some kind, and in law enforcement I worked night shift my entire career in law enforcement. So coming into the hospital system, nobody ever wants to work nights, but I was already accustomed to it. So that got me the opportunity to start working on my own quicker, because I didn't have to, stay on day shift and be handheld for a long time. I got sent to nights, and so I started working independently a ton. Mm-hmm. And even going into ECMO, again, nobody wants to work nights, but I loved it. So I got to be in a spot where you didn't have all the same resources that you had on day shift. So a lot of the responsibility for complication management and decision making was thrust upon you. And that that built my skill set so much faster, in my personal opinion. I really do believe that if you're a newly trained ECMO specialist, you need to be working nights, because that's where you learn independence, and that's where you gain the ability to work autonomously, even if that's not something that the facility engages with, but it gives you the skill set to be capable of doing it. Yeah. So that's really where I think the law enforcement and military together helped. But another aspect was the dealing with people in crisis. So law enforcement, every engagement that you have with people is always when somebody is in a moment of crisis in their life. And I didn't think that would play a part until I really came into ECMO, where everything we're doing with a patient on ECMO, that family member, that patient, everyone is in crisis. So you're dealing with a multitude of emotional responses, good and bad, and you are there directly involved with these patients doing patient care. And if you don't understand how people react in crisis moments, then you're not able to give them the best patient care. You can't be there for them. You can't answer the questions that they need. You don't know how to calm a situation down. But having the time in law enforcement and military prior in engaging in those moments already, I think it really provided a benefit for the patients for me having that skill set.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Well, the one thing I've learned about you working with you is you're always calm, cool, and collected. So for those that don't know you, what gets you excited?
The gym. The gym makes me happy. It's a place where I get to disconnect from everything else and just focus on the gym, so it makes me really happy. Food, I love to eat, which combined with the gym makes things very, very nice. But spending time with my family, my wife, son, and daughter, that family time, that us time, you don't get opportunity when they're young. They all grow up so quick. Yeah. So being able to spend time with them when they're young and be a part of their lives, that really makes me happy.
Got it. So if you think back to ECMO, what's the one thing that people don't understand about ECMO?
I think, two things. I think for ECMO itself, I think there's a misunderstanding that there's predictability to it. I think that we have some ideas and we've seen this kind of before, but the reality is it's a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have good moments, and they're going to be followed by bad moments and followed by more good moments. Maybe they end well or they end good, you don't know. And so there's no way to predict the outcome. There's no way to predict what is going to happen. We're going to do our best guess. But I think a lot of the outcome is dependent upon what we do at bedside as an ECMO specialist. The attention that we give that patient and that pump, and managing those two things together really can impact the outcome. But I don't think there's a predictability to it that some people think there is. From an ECMO specialist role, I think there's a lot of people that believe, and that they see us at bedside and they're like, oh my gosh, that's a cake job. They're just sitting around. I think they see moments, but the role of an ECMO specialist, especially one that is attentive and part of patient care, it's busy, it's tiring, it's emotionally exhausting with some of these long runs. So it's a lot more challenging of a job than what people believe.
Got it. So if someone's interested in looking into ECMO, be it a nurse or a respiratory therapist, what's the one piece of advice you would give them?
Take a look at yourself and determine whether or not you really want to invest your personal time in this, because this is not a job where you do clock in and clock out. To become good as an ECMO specialist, you are going to sacrifice a lot of your personal time. You're going to make yourself available for the complication moments that happen that you can't predict, but just happen on a random time, and you have to be there. Otherwise, you may never see them. There's going to be opportunities for transports and for procedures that just are going to be inconvenient for your regular day off work or day off life. And you've got to be willing to sacrifice that stuff to really get better. And that's my personal opinion. I'm sure others would disagree, but I believe that it takes a toll. Right? It is very costly to personal life. Mm-hmm. I think it's very rewarding. I think the end result is something that you will never question your decision in doing. but it's something that you have to be willing to do.
I appreciate that. So I'll turn the tables now. What question do you have for me?
Well, what makes you happy? You spend a lot of your time working with us and a lot of time dedicated to here, to specialty care. So what do you do for you? How do you disconnect from this place?
Well, the way I disconnect is I live on the lake, and so anything that involves being on the water, so particularly being on a boat with family, specifically my grandkids, and hopefully seeing if it sparks a little passion in them being on the water. But that's on the personal side. At work, what I like to see is when I can tell, looking in people's eyes, that helping them, training them, coaching them, I can see them connecting the dots. And because we live in a very complex world at times with healthcare, and it's not necessarily intuitive, and especially the business side of healthcare. So I really, what brings me back every day is seeing people connect the dots, and I can see it in their eyes when it happens. Well, look, I really appreciate you sitting down with me, spending this time. The one thing I do know is that you're very busy, just like everybody else in this service line. So thanks for coming. Thanks for coming to Philadelphia and spending some time and carving out the time that you would be spending with the team. So,
well, thank you for having me. Thank you for putting trust in me and promoting me into this position, and I look forward to what we can do together.
You bet. Well earned. So thanks.